On this episode, NBA star Mason Plumlee stops by. You ask questions, and I answer them. This is the Ask Gary V Show. Hey everybody, this is Gary Vay, Nerd Chuck, and this is episode 251 of the Ask Gary V Show. Pretty excited about this because I'm a huge NBA fan, and we have a real life NBA player here with us. Mason Plumlee is here. I'm gonna give him a second to tell everybody about himself, but you also are noticing no phone today. We've decided to go old school on the Ask Gary V Show. I put out a tweet. We got some questions. Andy K, it's your chance to finally be India. I'm happy for you. This is something you've wanted for 3 or 4 years. I've seen the notes back and forth. You know, D-Rock showed me a text a couple years ago and said something like, what the fuck, why does Indy always get to do this? So this is a big moment for you as well, my friend. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Mason, why don't you tell the Vayner Nation a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. You know, so I play basketball. From Indiana originally, went to high school and college in North Carolina. Spent my first 2 years with the Brooklyn Nets, year and a half with the Portland Trailblazers, and then I was traded to Denver February this season. So, you know, I'm going into restricted free agency this off season, so I'm looking forward to that. And you know, basketball is my passion. It's what I do. It's what it gets me out of bed in the morning. I don't have to think about it. I just love it, and you know, I wouldn't trade it for anything. So that's my story, and that's how I'm here.
Just a couple things. Tell me about, so first of all, being able to do what you love is like the greatest, right?
Yeah.
What outside of the basketball, like when we start going into the Mason sphere of interest that's out of that, entrepreneurship, sci-fi, food, like give me some context here and the viewers at home.
Two things that I've really been drawn to, one being real estate. I've enjoyed different real estate projects that I've done with partners. Did a couple here in Jersey when I lived in Jersey, and then some in Washington State when I lived in Oregon. But so real estate has been very interesting to me.
You have like an awesome business model figured out, right? I play in a new market, buy up, right?
Yeah. So.
You like want to get traded and do stuff in free agency just to build your real estate empire.
No, honestly, you always want to be the player like Kobe that's one franchise your whole. Yeah. But if it doesn't happen, why not take advantage of?
Pretty cool. So real estate has been interesting to you.
Real estate's been very
and fruitful, right? I'm thinking about your career and how long you've been in the league. The real estate market has been really strong during those years.
Yeah, for sure. And the thought.
And so, what you buy things and rent out?
I've done rehab projects. I've invested in other people's projects, but then also just starting to explore development with a partner that I have. So to me, I've always wanted to take advantage of, like, I have a window where I know I have contracts and money coming in, but NBA you can't play until you're 60. You can't play till you're you know, right. So there's a finite time to a career, and I want to take advantage of the earnings that I have during this time and put aside some assets for when I retire. And
not just earnings, right? Like, I mean, here we are sitting, obviously we got connected through, you know, the interweavings of our organization, but you're obviously thinking about, you know, look, 40 million people email this place like, I want to be on the show. Obviously, not only the dollars and what you can deploy, but having the platform of the NBA itself that gives you opportunities. How are you thinking about the leverage of just the awareness and a brand or people willing to say yes to things while you're in the league? I think one of the things that I always tell players, I started a sports agency, we're starting to rep players. My brother AJ's running it. Today's a big day. We may have one of our first players ever get drafted. I tell them, look, I remember this vividly. I told a kid right to his face, I go, look, the only reason I'm sitting with you is because you're a New York Jet.
Right.
And the Jets are my like heart and soul. I'm like, if you're a Bronco tomorrow, I'm gonna lose your number. And I actually meant it, not like to razz him, because I was telling him he was acting like a dope and he wasn't taking advantage of all the things he could be taking advantage of. Right. You also, you know, it's funny you said North Carolina, I played, you know, when you went to Duke, right? Like, it's one of the most popular colleges in the world. Like, there's just hundreds and thousands of people that are ruling the world that are willing to meet with you because you went to that university. Yeah. The access is insane.
Yeah, and I had great veterans when I came in as a rookie in the league, and Kevin Garnett told me, he's like, look, you can pretty much sit down or meet whoever you want to. He said, you just have to take the initiative to reach out to them and they'll take your call or whatever you want to do. They'll at least listen to you.
Did he then punch you in the face? Because he seems like that kind of character.
No, but he was right. And to that point too, he also made the point that he's like, once you're done playing, he's like, they probably aren't picking up. He's like, you might not get the sit down, you might not get the return call, whatever, but he was like, don't wait until you're 40. He was playing with me when he was 38 years old, but he's like, don't wait till you're 40 to pick up the phone to, take advantage of the platform that you have.
You know, it's funny, you just said that. One of the things that would be interesting is to think about not only the real estate arbitrage when you're in new markets, but the social graph, right? So like it's kind of interesting, right? Like who are the 5 to 25 men and women that you want to meet when you're in Portland? Like literally when you get traded to Denver, like is one of the processes, and this is for all the aspiring athletes out there or actual athletes, okay, now I'm in Denver, like literally, who are the 15 to 25 business or cultural leaders of Denver that I want to meet, and you can pull it off.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Okay, how was Duke?
Duke was great, man. I enjoyed it. I stayed all 4 years. You guys don't do that anymore, but I enjoyed it enough to stay.
You're like a unicorn.
I know, right? But no, it was a lot of fun. Had a great experience.
The fan base is ridiculous, right?
Fans are the best. The most.
What about when they're pissed at you?
Loved. Yeah, I mean.
When they were pissed at you, were they tough, or were they kind of like fully bought in and they've won so much and you guys have such like a winning? I always think that winning organizations are soft, really.
Yeah.
Like when you're winning often, like they could only get like when I get mad at a Jet player, I hate them with all my heart because we haven't won ever, and so I'm like, I'm really fucking pissed at you, dude. Like I want to win. Yeah. Whereas like with the Yankees, when I won a bunch, I'm like, yeah, I'm mad at you, but like we've won like so many championships, like no big deal, bro.
Yeah, well, they had a rough stretch before I got to school, and then the group I was with my freshman year, we won the championship, so it was a good. You
started off on the right foot.
And then it was like
the next 3 years you're trying to get back to that, and it never happens. So you have to enjoy the moment and take it for what it is, because it's not guaranteed to happen again. You go there one time in your freshman year, you're like, oh, this is just what happens.
Knowing a lot of my fan base is a mix. I think some of them may not know a lot about you. Tell them a little bit about the family dynamics that I think are really intriguing with you.
Yeah, so I have 2 brothers who play in the NBA as well. I have a little brother with the New York Knicks, and then I have an older brother with the Charlotte Hornets. We all had one year together in high school, 1 year together in college, but those are my best friends. I think I've always benefited from watching my older brother go through the same process that I'm about to embark on, and then I've been able to help my little brother too. So it's been a great dynamic for me. And then also I have a little sister who she plays volleyball at Notre Dame, and now I'm just like a cheerleader because I don't know anything about volleyball, but I'm happy.
Are your parents like the greatest athletes of all time?
No, they were athletes. They weren't the greatest, but they would tell you that too. But we grew up.
It's crazy to think.
Yeah.
Like forget about even having the DNA, the parenting, the serendipity, the great fortune. Yeah. To have 3 boys in the NBA is so mind-bending.
Yeah, I mean it's like you see a lot of brothers, a lot of twins, but.
Yes.
We're happy when Marshall joined the NBA family. Yeah. So
The three thing. How often has that happened? 3 brothers in the league.
One other time.
Which was?
I think it was the Berries. Back
right.
in,
and their dad played. Right.
Yeah. So.
That's just insane.
Doesn't happen that often.
Do you guys think like you'll eventually like go on the road like when you're retired and like it'll be all about like there's something really there?
Yeah. No, we could definitely do something fun. We've always talked about. I think that the best part about it is just spending our off season together and working out together. So I have my little brother's here, like I said, with the Knicks, and then my older brother likes New York too. So we enjoy.
You guys are setting up camp here.
Yeah, Plumlee.
Who's the best player?
Me, but we all say that. So.
But what's the true answer? It is, right?
Yeah.
Like
I would tell you the truth.
Yeah, I believe you. All right, Andy, let's do this. This is your big moment.
My big moment.
What's the first question?
Jason Crocker asks, "Dude dropped 40 points on me in high school. How early did you decide to go all in on basketball and commit your life to that pursuit?"
Well, now I have a new career high in high school. So
I have 40.
Do you know what your career high in high school is? Of course you do.
Honestly, I really don't.
You're that good? Fuck.
No, it wasn't that.
If my career high was like 17, I'd be like 7. I would know everything. I'd be like, yeah, this kid, I crossed him over.
No lie, I have to give a shout out to Christ School. I love my high school. It was a all boys boarding school in North Carolina. But we had such a good group of guys. Like our first 5 all went and played in college. So it was such a fun team to be on that our goal every year is like, can we go undefeated? We never got to it, but
you weren't one of those guys that came up in high school where you were the guy dropping 64, right?
So I don't, that's funny you asked that, but I didn't have 40 in a game, but anyway, for me it was a passion early on. In Indiana, it's the game. Everybody plays basketball, and
Sure, it's religion.
Yeah, it is. It really is like Texas.
Are you a
football.
Colts fan?
I am. Yeah, Colts.
not a Pacers fan, but Colts fan. But growing up, like,
Oh, why not a Pacers fan?
you know what? When I first started watching the NBA, like it was always Utah and Chicago in the finals. So I love Chicago. I watch Jordan all the time.
So you're a bandwagon Bulls fan?
Yeah,
I was Northwest Indiana though, so I was close to Chicago.
That's how you decided to justify that?
and they were winning.
I know what they were doing.
Want to be
All right, so what did you so was it from birth you were all in?
No, I mean when I was young and just playing at recess on the playground with my brothers.
Were you always ridiculously tall?
No, I wasn't always tall, and I think that's in the NBA, not the NBA, but in basketball, like you get the guys who are tall, so they're like, well, I'll play basketball, I'll put this to use. But it was always a passion of mine from when I was little, and it's not something that I decided to do because of I ended up being tall.
So when did you go all in?
All in, honestly, to me the first I would say business move concerning basketball was when I decided to leave my home and go to boarding school. Because up until then, I loved it. I would just go and play for the fun of it.
And when was that?
I did that my sophomore year of high school. But then
You have a big freshman year?
I didn't have a big freshman year. I played varsity and JV at my hometown high school.
Did you grow in that summer like a machine?
No, I was like 6'7", 6'8" my freshman year, so.
I was already tall. But it just, to me, that was.
I love he's like, no, it's your own reality, right? He just hangs out with 7-footers all day. I get it.
Yeah,
But to me, that was going all in because basketball was for fun, and that was the first sacrifice made toward the career, so.
Let's move on.
Cool. Ottawa Hoops asks, how can student athletes use social media to monetize their brand?
I'll jump in on this one.
Yeah, go for it.
So I think the NCAA is ridiculously difficult to navigate, and I have real venom towards it. And I don't know every detail. I have real venom towards it because I also grew up in the wine business where the laws are ridiculous and not practical and are archaic. And then it gets even worse when you really look under the underbelly of why the rules sit there. So I think student athletes have to be careful because they can lose eligibility, right?
Yeah.
Like, were you always scared? Like that?
Yeah.
Like it was always like a bad cloud, right?
and there's
And Coach K was like, don't fuck up.
Right, no, you don't want to mess up his program. He's not gonna like that. But that's the thing, the regulations, the rules, you shouldn't be trying to monetize your social media because they're gonna hit you over the head with the suspension.
That's why I have an answer. What your job to do is to really build, if you care about that, if you're that entrepreneurial, and if you're a javelin,
Yep.
you're in volleyball.
Yep.
There's no women's professional volleyball league that's gonna pay your sister the kind of money the boys made.
Right.
So if she's thinking about the entrepreneurial level, what you do while you've got that attention, or if you're the 11th guy at Indiana State and you don't think you're going to the NBA, what I think when you have that attention is you build a fan base. You don't monetize it, you build the platform. The way to do that, whether you're a superstar player or the 11th guy on Indiana State, is to engage. Now, if you're a superstar player and you're going to Duke, you're probably worried about your class, you're worried about the program, so you probably have less time. If you're 11th guy at Indiana State, you probably have more time, and so you've got to just pull levers, but it's about engagement. Again, I'm hot on this because it's a Larry Bird reference and I didn't want to use Indiana. Like, I just thought it was funny. So if you're Indiana State, 11th guy, right? Every single person that references your game on Twitter is something you can engage with. Maybe you didn't play, but it would be really funny if Tyler was like, you guys suck tonight, and you jump in and were like, yo bro, they'd be pumped because they actually watched that game, that context building. Now all of a sudden you leave school with 80,000 followers, where you would have had maybe 1,500 if you didn't give a crap, and now all of a sudden you are tweeting out looking for opportunities this summer. That's where you're at your height because you just went through the program, and 6 or 7 leads come in, and away you go. That's really the only way within the rules of the NCAA.
Yep.
Cool. Agreed. Move on.
Rodney.
Rodney Pete?
His handle is DJ.
Do you know who Rodney Pete is? Just yes or no. Do you know who Rodney Pete is?
No.
Rodney Pete?
No.
Rodney Pete? Rodney Pete? Rodney Pete? Rodney Pete? Rodney Pete? Sorry, Rodney. USC quarterback, went to the Lions, had a nice career. These youngsters don't know
Lions,
Rodney.
Man, you should know the Lions.
He's
Come on,
Ro-
Detroit.
What hero? My family's from Michigan. I'm a big
You're a big disappointment, man.
I've been told that.
Let's move on.
Rodney asks, what did the NBA teach you about basketball that you can apply to marketing or branding on social media?
So the first thing they do is they sit you down and show you what you can get fined for. But surprisingly, a lot of the stuff, as I was watching what guys got in trouble for, all that stuff created such buzz and got them a lot of following. So it's kind of like, hey,
You're like the arbitrage was worth it.
Shock
Yeah.
and awe and get a lot. But anyway, to me, the best advice that they gave us was be yourself. Don't make every post about a product pitch or right away. So you get as soon as you come out of the league, or as soon as you finish university, then you can accept money for then you can
Sneakers.
start monetizing, right? So right away you're gonna have people, hey, tweet this, pitch my product, whatever, I'll pay you.
Sports cards.
Yes, it's good and well, but you don't want your social media to be flooded with that. You just want to be genuine, be who you are. I think it's also good to share. Don't just reply to tweets and whatever after wins. Be the same person, wins and losses. Don't go into a hole. Depending on the situation. So
be careful who you're responding to and how.
Be authentic. Yeah. Be always respond to real people. I think there are a lot of people hiding behind different accounts out there, stuff like that.
Yeah, Dunk. So I'm kidding. Talk to me about the biggest thing you learned in your first season in the NBA. Nothing to do with marketing, just macro learning. This has probably been on your mind,
right.
As a little kid, then definitely got more serious after your freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
Here it is. This is it. You're in the league.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing you learned in year one? Kevin obviously sat down and gave you some good advice. You had some good bets on that team that you stumbled into.
Great bets.
But what, macro,
To me, the biggest thing I took away is there's so much, I came from a college where there was stability. Coach K was my coach every year. I have, for the most part, similar teammates every year. The NBA, and I talk to my friends with other jobs, there's so much turnover, there's so much unpredictability. I went into practice one morning and they said, hey, GM wants to talk to you. Hey, you're going to Denver. Okay, cool. So you can't control your situation. You can
I'm gonna do that to D-Rock tomorrow. Be like, you know what? You've been traded to the Chattanooga office. But that's crazy, right? You have to pick up your whole life.
Yeah,
there's a lot of great things that comes along with professional sports, and I'm sure the veterans tell you once your family kicks in, right? Your daughter loves her school in Denver, and now you're in Sacramento.
Yeah. So I think the best piece of advice that I got from those guys, and I watched it happen on that first team, is, no matter what's happening around the game, have the same work habits, have the same approach to practice, to the games, to shoot around, to film session. Have an approach that you believe in, that you can stick to, and it's not going to change regardless of what.
And have you done that?
Absolutely, yeah, I have. I mean, I'm only 4 years in, but
But you're on 3 teams in 4 years.
3 teams in 4 years, 4 different head coaches. So, I feel like I have found a routine and something that I believe in that I can continue to grow and get better regardless of the situation.
Was it easier to walk into the Denver locker room after experience being the new guy in the Portland locker room?
Yeah, for sure.
Was that weird and scary?
I mean, everything's, I would say, unpredictable. You don't know what to expect. I was telling Will, actually, funny, when I went into the Denver locker room, they started playing our rap song. So now I did a rap song, so everywhere I go, people make fun of me for it, which is, it's fine. I have fun with it. So, that lightened the mood. But anyway, cool. And also the NBA, you know players on every team. So
you went to you in high school and college, things of that nature. Right. Cool. Andy K?
Cody Wheat asks, what do you think people get wrong about professional athletes? What do you think is the biggest misconception?
I can tell you the thing that bothers me the most is when people talk about athletes are stupid or dumb or whatever, and they go broke because they don't know what they're doing. I don't know anybody, all the players that I know are still in the league, but people have gone broke or they've lost, what they've made out of. I've seen more, I could see it happening more from generosity
That's exactly
than from
right.
bad business moves. It's not.
I'm so glad you said this. I apologize to cutting you off. I am stunned by that variable as we've just recruited our first class. You're exactly right. It's not that they're dumb. It's that
want to do so
their
much
inner
for other
circle. And listen, there's a lot of cliche, lower middle class, poor, and it's like they want to help. They've been praying to get through the system to this moment. Being rich, you can get injured. Coming from tough places, you could get into trouble. I think that's exactly right, my man. They're trying to do good. So much so, I don't know if you've seen this, I've already seen this. Some of these kids have to go through the very difficult decision of actually cutting off their world, because literally all that's happening is I saw a kid with his cell phone, and in 30 minutes get asked for tens of thousands of dollars from 11 different people.
Right.
And it happens all the time. And it's not out.
It's a really good one. I'm glad you went there, man.
People are so
Quick to say, bad business move, bad restaurant, bad this, bad that. I've seen more. The most generous people I've ever met have been teammates in the NBA, without a doubt.
Now, there's also Antoine Walker, who's out of his mind.
Yeah. That's I know.
Antoine, I know. I love. And by the way, on that note, I'm making that joke because I want to give him a compliment. What he's doing right now for kids and like that are coming out of the league, and you know, it takes a lot of humility. And listen, I'm sure there's economics with it. I don't know him, but you know, I'm sure he's getting paid and isn't hurting to get, you know, doesn't hurt to get the money. But he's going in there and saying, "Look at me. This is the look what man made hundreds of millions of dollars." Oof, Andy K. Andy felt that one.
Sam asks, how are you able to stay positive when working towards your goals and ambitions without seeing improvement on a regular basis?
That, to me, that's one of the hardest things. You know, I think whether you do
What part of your game was toughest for you? If you said, at a macro, the thing that was hardest for you to develop in your game, that you can rewind to now, like we're going very macro basketball right now, what would that be?
Why? Because like, so last summer I wanted to change the way in which I shot the ball, my form. And
Period?
Period, yeah.
Well, that's
so like, it's
a little crazy.
Yeah, and it's crazy
hardcore.
if you have something. I always felt like this.
Tiger Woods broke down a swing that had won Masters, and then he reworked it.
Right.
I wasn't breaking down a shot that worked. I was breaking down a shot that didn't work. So
I love it.
I wanted to change my form, and so to me it was.
You know, there were a lot of times I didn't see progress. I got with the coach and we were in the gym every day and it was frustrating. Stuff felt awkward. It didn't, you have muscle memory and habits that are hard to break if you've been doing them wrong for so long. So that was something that I just fully committed to last summer.
And?
There were, like the question said, there were a lot of times where you
But where are we right now?
Things, you know, I feel very good. I'm still
in it.
I'm still in it. I'm still on that journey. I'm very happy with where my form is. You know, I hit more jump shots this year than I have any year in the league, and that's now I feel like I have a base and a form that I can build on and continue to improve.
Andy, you should, you know, your jump shot has been struggling lately. Where are you right now with your game?
I haven't been playing that much.
Me neither. Dunk? How you feeling about yourself? You're very athletic.
I always feel good about
Yeah,
it.
but blindly.
Yeah.
How's the actuality of it?
Good.
You playing well? All right. Jake?
I just haven't played in a while.
Jake, how you doing?
No basketball.
No basketball.
I mean, if we go up against Mace,
Yeah, listen, I'll give you a preview. You're going to lose.
Wait, Mace, you guys talking about Yoda?
Oh yeah. No, it's
Tell me.
Like I said, I found a shooting coach.
Yoda's the name of a dude who's a shooting coach. Oh, because you had to do all sorts of weird stuff, like close your eyes and like shoot backwards, like while you're elevated and eating Jello.
It's just more. He's like a bald little. You know how you get the gray hair going around here.
He has the record for most.
Yeah, so he didn't have like, there are shooting coaches in the NBA.
Of course.
This guy had no NBA.
Right, he's an unofficial kind of
He's
Yoda.
like the old white little Steph Curry.
But I watched him, and the guy, he made like, I think 1,503 free throws in a row. So I was like, hey, I want to work
You
with
saw
him.
that? You saw that on YouTube, or you were like sitting there tying your shoes and watched an old white dude hit 1,503 free throws? Just curious.
He drills it.
He had the film of it.
Got it.
He got on the spot.
If you walk in the gym, he'll rip you off 100 in a row. And I was like, that's
awesome.
incredible. And we call him Yoda because he's little and bald and wise.
What?
And
Yeah.
So
I love it.
good dude.
Mace, I'm glad you stopped by, man.
Thanks for having me.
You get to ask the question of the day. You get to ask any question you want, macro, micro, basketball, life, entrepreneurship, interests, anything you want. You'll get thousands of answers. It might be some good insight. Fire away.
Anything.
Anything.
Man.
What's the best thing to do in New York over the summer that people don't know about? And don't tell me Hamilton, because you can't get tickets to that.
Why can't you get tickets?
Because
they pay well in the NBA.
They do, but
So buy some fucking tickets, Mason.
Right, I'll buy some tickets.
Okay, good.
What's the thing to do in New York in the summer that people don't know about that you just have to do? How about that?
Love it, my man.
Cool.
Thanks for
for
stopping by.
Yeah, thanks.
You keep asking questions, we'll keep answering them.